Okay, quick pause. Now, I want you to forget tools for a moment, forget core editors, forget programming languages, because what we are talking about today is not a new tool. It's a new abstraction layer, and that matters. So, today we are talking about vibe coding. So, hi everyone, welcome back to the NIIT YouTube channel. So, let's talk about why is vibe coding such a big deal. So every major leap in computing history comes from a new abstraction. So assembly replaced machine code, high-level languages replaced assembly, frameworks replaced raw languages. So each step, it removed friction. And vibe coding is the next step in that chain. It removes syntax from the human loop. Now, the term vibe coding was popularized by Andrej Karpathy, and back in February, he described a new way of building software. And he said, there's a new kind of coding, and I call it vibe coding, where you fully give in to the vibes, embrace exponentials, and forget that the code even exists. Now, that last part is critical. Forget that the code even exists. Now, that sentence implies something radical. So let's talk about the core shift from control to direction. So traditional programming is all about control, and you tell the computer exactly what to do, step by step, line by line. However, vibe coding is about direction. So you don't control every instruction, you steer the system towards an outcome. So this is closer to how you work with humans than how you work with machines. So let's talk about software as a conversation. So in vibe coding, software creation becomes a conversation. So you say what you want and the system responds with an implementation. You react, you refine, you iterate. Now this is not compilation, this is dialogue. And the faster the feedback loop, the more powerful the system becomes. So why English works? So English works as a programming interface because it encodes intent. So humans, they naturally think in goals, constraints and preferences, but large language models are optimized to interpret that. They don't just translate words, they infer meaning. And this is why vague prompts produce vague result and clear intent produces usable software. So let's talk about intent and instructions. Now, this is one of the most important ideas. Traditional code is equal to instructions and vibe coding is equal to intent. Now, instructions answer how and intent answers what and why. So, when you say make this button easier to notice, you are expressing intent and the AI decides what that means, whether it's color, size, spacing, or contrast. And that decision making used to live inside the developer's head, now it lives inside the model. So let's proceed on with the cognitive load theory. So another reason vibe coding works is cognitive load reduction. And in traditional development, your brain is still juggling business logic, UI decisions, syntax rules, framework works, edge cases, and vibe coding, it removes the entire categories of mental overhead and you focus on one thing at a time. What should this do next? And this dramatically would increase your velocity. Now, why you don't read the code? This is the most misunderstood part. In vibe coding, you don't read the code for the same reason you don't read the assembly output from a compiler. The abstraction layer is higher now, and your responsibility is no longer implementation correctness, it's behavioral correctness. So, does the system behave as intended? That's it. This idea was summarized by Simon Williamson, who defined vibe coding as building software with an LLM without reviewing the code it writes. So, this isn't carelessness, it's delegation. And who is actually coding? A useful way to think about this is you are no longer the programmer, you are the specifier. You define constraints, you define outcomes, you define taste. The AI is the programmer. So this separation mirrors other industries and architects, they don't lay bricks. Directors don't operate cameras. Product designers don't write assembly. Vibe coding puts developers higher up in the creative stack. Let's talk about feedback loops over perfection. Now, another key theory point, vibe coding favors last feedback over perfect planning. So, you don't design everything upfront, you generate something quickly, you react to it, you adjust, and this mirrors modern product thinking. Build, observe, refine. The AI makes iteration cheap. I know this might feel uncomfortable, So this approach feels uncomfortable because it breaks old instinct. Now developers are trained to understand everything, control everything, verify everything. But vibe coding asks you to trust a probabilistic system. That's a psychological shift and not a technical one. Now, where vibe coding actually shines, so this is why vibe coding excels. So it excels at prototypes, internal tools, MVPs, creative experiment, early stage startups, or anywhere speed matters more than perfection. And yes, there are limits: security critical system, safety critical software, deep infrastructure. Vibe coding doesn't replace engineering, it repositions it. So now that you understand the theory, the abstraction and the mindset, it's time to see this in practice. And I'm going to build a real working web application using nothing but English instructions. No code editor, no file management, and no different reviews, just intent, feedback, iteration. So let's stop talking about vibe coding and actually vibe code. If you can explain an app idea clearly, you can build it. And in this video, I'm going to vibe code a working web app using Replit, meaning we will build it by prompting, not by typing everything from the scratch. So you will see the full workflow, that is from idea, it goes to prompt, then from prompt, it goes to your build, then your fix, and then you deploy it, and then of course you share it. And our demo project today is a cricket match insights dashboard, which is a simple web app where you can paste a match summary, auto generate key insights, and store notes like what worked and what didn't. So this is perfect for beginners because it proves the full loop, that is UI logic, saving data, and deployment without getting stuck in the setup hill. So first, what you have to do is you need to click on a new project, and I have already done that. And then you have to click on create app option over here. Now it will take you to this page. So instead of choosing a template manually, I'm going to build it with a Replit agent. So this is the feature that can generate the project structure and code from a prompt. So here's the rule of vibe coding. Don't say build an app. Say what the user does, what the app outputs, and what the constraints are. So I'm just going to paste a strong prompt over here. So as you can see, I pasted a prompt that is build a responsive web app called in cricket match inside then I have also described the user flow, where I have a text box where the user pastes a match summary. I have a button generate insight that outputs key moments, turning point, top performance, and I have a save insight feature that stores generated insight in a simple list on the page. Then I have added a sample match summary pre-filled, and I've also added a reset button and basic error handling for empty input. So after I have pasted my prompt, I'm just going to click on the start button over here. So while this generates, here is what happening behind the scenes. So Replit agent will plan the project. It will create the files and write code across the front end and the back end if needed. And the important thing here is vibe coding doesn't mean blind trust. So we will review it, what it creates, run it, and then iterate in small steps. So we will just wait for our files to be completed. So as you can see that our website is not working yet. So I've just entered a prompt. That is, my website is not working and I need a fully functional website. So that is why you can't blindly trust vibe coding. And you need to iterate it over and over again in order to get your desired output. So let's just see if it's able to do that for us now. Now, as you can see that all of our files have been generated, and we now iterate, and this is where vibe coding becomes powerful. So you go back to your agent chat and you will give them one upgrade at a time. And you also realize that if something breaks, like you saw that our website wasn't working, this is where beginners usually panic. But with vibe coding, you debug by describing the failure precisely. So let's say I was facing some plugin errors. So I just said my website is not working. I need a fully functioning website, and it solved me all of my errors. And now I have this website in front of me. So if I click on create insight, for instance, so it's gonna generate me the match insights very accurately. And you can see that our analysis has already been completed. We have the key moments, uh, we have the tactical takeaways, we have the top performers, we have the turning point. So it generated whatever we required it to generate, and we can also save the analysis if we require. So I'll explain you the iteration, but unfortunately, I can't do it for you because I have reached my maximum credit for the day. But you need to iterate in order for vibe coding to become powerful. So let's suppose I want a better UI. So I'm just gonna enter the prompt that improve the UI and make the output sections look like cards, add icons or headings, add a character counter for the input, and keep it minimal and professional. Also, for instance, I don't like the saved analysis button over here. Then I can just enter the prompt that improve the save analysis button for me. And there could be a chance where my save analysis option is not working. Then I could just describe my agent that my saved analysis button is not working, and the agent will solve that issue for you. But you need to be very specific about the problem that you are facing here. And if you do that, well, you will have a website prepared for you in like minutes, and that's it. That is vibe coding for you. So, one quick best practice is that when you're using AI agents to code, always keep guardrails, especially if this ever touches the real data. So you can just add two safety improvements like confirm before clearing all the saved insights, add a simple backup export button. So you can do whatever you want to do. And then after you are done with your app, you can just publish it, you can deploy it, you can share it, and that is it. So we created a new Replit app. It gave us everything. We debugged an error and you iterate it in order for our website to become more better, and you deploy it live. So if you want to go from AI can code to I can ship real projects with AI, subscribe to NIIT channel, and I promise we will be coming up with better tutorials next time. So just stay tuned. So hit the like button and also the subscribe button. Thank you so much.